Emptying, which we'll probably talk about, molds us and shapes us in a certain way. Love for the other. God saying to Moses, I want you to do this for my people. And I think what we see in Moses is a kind of self-preservation, right? You say he doesn't want to die. I think he wants to preserve himself. I want to preserve myself. And so while there's this sort of pull for hospitality within us, I think there's also a pull of fear of the stranger. And so we want to preserve. And so when we don't empty ourselves, we're not shaped in that way. We're shaped in another way. And I think what happens is we become shaped in ways of self-preservation.
Okay, now, what does that look like? When that happens in the church, tell me what those individuals look like who are being shaped for self-preservation as opposed to self-emptying.
Well, I keep thinking about trying to sort of reconnect this to the things we've said the last couple of weeks.
I do that all the time.
Do you do that too? Yeah. And we talked that first week about trust.
Yeah.
I think it takes trust in God to be able to empty. When we don't have that, and when we don't self-empty, and we become more and more about self-preservation, it becomes more and more about me, which again goes to the second week, which is about my faith not being embodied. I don't live it out, I just live it for me. Again, I circle up my individual wagons, if you will, and start to worry about Brad. All my decisions, how I spend my money, how I live my life, who I give my energy and time to becomes about me and maybe my family. But I need to take care of my own because nobody's going to take care of me, even God perhaps. So, I think, we talk about spiritual formation in the church. We need to do spiritual formation. The truth is we always are doing spiritual formation. The question is what kind of formation? Is it self-emptying love formation or is it self-preservation formation? And I think it's really easy to end up in self-preservation.
Okay, now so a person can be shaped to do self-preservation. Can a group of people be shaped to do self-preservation? And then what does that look like when that group tries to do self-preservation?
Yeah, I think sometimes it looks like a lot of individuals doing self-preservation. So we come together on Sunday and we say, hi, how are you? Good to see you. We're really good at the friendship time.
Surface.
And then we go off and do our own thing. Yeah, so we are a conglomeration of a bunch of individuals. And then because we're not really a community, I think it's easy for us then to only be concerned about our own. Sometimes we're pretty good at caring for the sick amongst us, but it becomes difficult to see and notice those outside of our walls. Okay. So we begin to ignore, we begin to forget about certain groups of people, types of people, and I think we've talked about that as a kind of violence, where we turn inward.
What can be done? If sitting here today, I recognize that, whether, on an individual sort of basis, what can I do to try to rehabilitate that, to move beyond it? Can anything be done to reverse that formation?
I think we have to confess.
Medication? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Medication, yeah, long-term therapy. No, we need to confess. We need to first acknowledge it, that it's true about us. That's painful. Jason and I we were smiling down here. When people come out of the baptism, you come out sputtering, and it's kind of hard to get out of the water. And we said, it's hard to come into the new life.
Yeah.
It's hard work, right? God does it, but thankfully, it's not on our own. But it's hard work. It's hard work to confess and own up to that we can be those kinds of people that are about self-preservation and not about looking to the concerns or advantages, the emptying for the other. And so we have to confess, and I think then as we do that in community, we can begin to look around and say, who's not sitting in our pews? Who is not part of us? What groups of people are not worshiping with us? And then I think that becomes uncomfortable, but important.
So then we're again back to some of the things we said even the first week about doing some things on purpose to remember and sort of rehearse the right sort of body life, both, and I mean body as an individual, but also a corporate sort of thing. Does this still apply, the remembering, the rehearsing, the re-relationshipping?
Yeah, for sure. We need all that. We can't, we cannot do, we really can't do this on our own. We're not strong enough. We're not powerful enough. We need the Holy Spirit, but we need the Holy Spirit to come to us through one another. And I just think that we get, when we get disembodied, when we get about self-preservation, we start making religion a religion of the mind and not of the body. And it's about, do you believe the right things? I read a great quote today that said that, or the other day that said, the church is always looking for better programs. People are God's programs. God's looking for better people. And in your language today, he's looking for dead people.
Looking for dead people.